Road monkey like Fritos. Road monkey like Tab and Mountain Dew. Road monkey, very simple man with big warm fuzzy secret heart. Road monkey like you. Road monkey like you.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me, the Meteor Raptor, and you know what time it is? It's time for Mountain Dew and movie reviews. First up is a 2007 horror movie. That movie? Saw 3. Da-na-na-na! Yeah, so you might ask, why am I reviewing the third one instead of the first, second, and all the others and then in actual order? Well, for the same reason that I reviewed VHS Viral and VHS 2, which I'm not sure if that review is up yet because I'm filming them all at the same time. Whatever. The same reason as that. I don't have the other ones. Now, the reason I don't have VHS... no, not VHS 1. The reason I don't have Saw 1, 2, and the others is because, you know, I like these movies, but they're not really films I feel like I want to own that desperately. Now, if I see it for if I see like the Blu-ray collection for $20, I would buy that. But I don't feel a need to go out and hunt down every single Saw movie and pay full price for Blu-ray. And really, the only reason I even have number 3 is I was garage sailing the other day, and I found just a box of movies for $5. And as I dug through that, I found Saw 3, and I found this. So, yeah, I also found some South Park DVDs and stuff like that, so there was some good stuff in there. It's just, that's kind of why I have these, is because I bought a random box of movies without even bothering to look through them. Now, do I hate the Saw movies? No, actually, I think they're pretty interesting. I think they're entertaining, they're scary in their own way, and they kind of have a weird morality question about them, which I kind of both agree and don't agree with, but I'm not here to talk about my morality or anything like that, or this film's morality. I'm here to talk about the movie itself. So, here we go. Saw 3, if you couldn't guess, is the third movie in the Saw franchise, and I also believe is chronologically the third one then, because I believe, maybe, just maybe, sorry, Saw 2 came before Saw 1, and then Saw 3 came after that. I'm not here to talk about that either. So, let's talk about the movie's writing. Well, here's kind of the interesting thing about this movie. Yada yada yada, yada yada yada. Oh, never mind, it doesn't have on the back. I'm gonna kind of spoil the movie a little bit here. Jigsaw, it was a recurring thing in the first 2 movies that he had terminal brain cancer. And that he was going to die from that. In fact, in the Saw Legacy comic book, they actually explain that he tried to kill himself once, and that's what made him realize how valuable life is. And that's kind of part of the reason why he does, well, what he does to people who he thinks don't understand how precious life is. So, yeah. The whole cancer thing is finally brought up again, and it's caught up with him pretty badly. In fact, it's gotten so bad that it leads to, what's her name? Amanda having to kidnap a doctor named Lynn. And essentially, she's forcing her to perform brain surgery, open brain surgery, while John is still conscious. John is Jigsaw's real name, by the way. Is fully conscious to try and get rid of this tumor, which was kind of like literally causing his brain to like, his skull to crack, because his brain was like flaming up. It's like what happens when you get like a bug bite or something that flames up. Imagine that with your brain and it's pushing out of your skull. And at the same time, they also happening to be testing a guy who has kind of a sad backstory. See, his son got murdered, and the man who killed him walked due to a faulty trial. And he spent a long time thinking about how he's going to hunt him down and he's going to kill the man who killed his son. And his son's only about 6, apparently, in this movie, is how it looked. So you know what? I kind of think he had at least some reason. But here's where things get really interesting. As he is forced to play Jigsaw's game, he meets up with the people who actually were part of the trial. And it all leads up to Tommy, to the man who killed his son. Now, originally, he kind of thinks like, oh, one of the members of the jury? No, they deserve to die. The judge? No, he doesn't want to save him. But it's not just because he's cold-hearted and is being a total jerk. Well, it partially is that. Part of it is, in order to succeed, often how these games work is you have to do something pretty bad to yourself. In fact, that often means really badly hurting yourself. And I think it was Saw 5? No, not Saw 5. It can't have been Saw 5. Saw 5 with the scythe. But that's still a good example. I'll go with that. The guy had to literally crush both of his hands. Like, break the bones, like, pretty much flatten them, almost in a cartoonish way, to try and get out. And then that turned out the trap was sort of a fake one, and he couldn't get out either way, but that's Saw 5, not this one. I'm pretty sure it's Saw 6, where essentially these two people, they have to cut off, essentially they have to give a pound of flesh, and whoever gives more will live, and the other one gets two screws drilled into the side of their head, and it leads to one woman chopping off her arm. That's usually how these games work. Like in number 2, at the very beginning, the guy was going to have to cut out his eye. In this movie, one person, he has to literally pull chains out of his arm, out of his jaw, out of his heels. Okay, I'm going to just say this. I don't know why, but any horror movie where they mutilate someone's heels, that's gross to me. Like that's what I find disturbing. I don't know why. I just don't. But I just find that disturbing. But instead of getting hurt, for the most part, one of them involves him getting kind of messed up a little bit, but then she dies anyways, so I'm not going to bother talking about that one. The main one, the one with the what's his name? Not the lawyer, the judge. He's going to have to find a key in order to unlock the judge from being, like, from this thing around his neck that's holding him in a vat of, well, holding him in this, like tub thing that's being filled up with ground-up pig remains. Yeah, I know that sounds gross, but it's Saw, shut up. Anyhow, in order to find the key, he has to burn all of his son's stuffed toys. That scene, I'm not gonna lie, was actually kind of hard to watch. Not because of the pigs being ground up. I really couldn't care less if pigs get ground up, because that means bacon, and I love bacon. But watching this father who's lost his son and his wife is gone, watching him having to destroy the only thing he has, like one of the few things left he has that was his son's, it's just sad. And it's kind of interesting how he goes from wanting to kill everyone to even trying to save them. Granted, he fails half the time, but at least he tries, and I can't fault him for that. Yeah. So our main character, the main guy in the game, is actually given a decent amount of backstory. We're given a reason to care about him. Not just because his son was killed. That's kind of a cheap shot. But they do give us other reasons. We get to see the after effects of it. We see why his whole life has gotten as bad as it is. And this all leads up to a final confrontation with Jigsaw, and a plot twist which I kind of saw coming, because they often mention, like, we know your wife has left, or let's talk about your son. And it's pretty clear that Dr. Lin and what is the guy's name? And Jeff, like the two people, like Lin's the one doing the surgery, and Jeff is the one running through the gauntlet, I'm going to call it. It's pretty clear they're married. Maybe if I hadn't seen Saw 6, I would probably not have seen that coming, but I've seen Saw 6, like, 2 or 3 times now, because I liked that one a lot. And that had a very similar twist, so I feel like even if I hadn't, you'd still be able to tell. But there is one final twist at the end, which I will not spoil, because it comes out of nowhere, and it makes so much sense, and it's one of the best twists I have seen in a horror movie in years. Not just because it's well-timed, but because it makes the entire movie that much deeper. I don't really want to say why or what happens, but it's a twist which you won't see coming and genuinely shocked me. So the writing, it's pretty good, you know? It's got its problems, like some of the characters are kind of annoying, and again, it's you really gotta question some things, like logic things. Like, how have the cops not been able to find him if... Like, how does he get all this stuff? Like, it's just the stuff you would normally question. And Amanda, I kind of felt like she was kind of a dumb character. You know, she was okay in the second one, but in this one I feel like she lost a lot of what made her interesting in the previous one. But that's just me. Acting. Pretty much all the actors do a really good job. There wasn't anyone who did a really bad job, but there wasn't anyone who did, like, a phenomenal job. Aside from, what's the guy's name? Tobin Bell, the guy who plays Jigsaw, that dude is amazing. That dude, he is so scary and yet so human. It's hard to explain. But he's an amazing actor, and I hope he comes back in Saw 8. Yeah. What about the special effects? The special effects are amazing. 99% of the blood in this movie is practical blood. And it looks really good, because it's practical blood. Practical blood, it takes a lot for you to mess it up. But the traps look cool. When there's one trap where a guy's entire body is being twisted around, and, like, his limbs start tearing off, it looks realistic. It looked creepy, but it also looked cool in its own way. The scenes where Jigsaw, they literally cut out part of his skull, like, right here. They actually, like, take a saw and, like, cut there, and you see, like, the brain underneath the skull. It's disturbing. It's gross. Well, not disturbing. It's gross, but it's cool. It's well done. Makeup is done really well. All the practical effects are great. Music, we still have that awesome Saw theme, which I kind of wish they used more, which the other movies do. Lighting, it's a very atmospheric lighting. It's very creepy. It's very intimidating. It's very isolated. You feel very alone. And that might be because there's only, like, very few people in this movie. Well, what else is going through the gauntlet thingy. Hang on. So, yeah. Can I recommend Saw 3? Totally. It's a great movie. It's fun. It's not perfect. It's not one of the best horror movies I've ever seen. But Saw 3? It scores 3 Raptor Claws out of 4. It's at least a solid horror movie. It's a well-made, well-produced, mostly well-written, well-acted, and amazingly well-affected, I'm not even sure if that's a word, I just made that up, movie. You know what, if you're a fan of the Saw movies, I'm pretty sure you'll have no problem with this one. Out of all the Saw movies, I'd have to say number 7 is my favorite. I know that might sound strange, because not a lot of people liked 7, but I did. Maybe I'll cover it someday if I ever get them all on Blu-ray. But what I'm talking about, though, if you can find Saw 3... Well, apparently this was $3 at the Hawk Shop. If you can find it pretty cheap, go ahead, pick it up. It's just under an hour and 20 minutes. Oh, hang on. It's just under 2 hours, actually. But it's a good movie. It'll keep you interested. It'll keep you going, and you want to see what's going to happen next. And it does have an awesome twist at the end. But hey, you guys, that's just my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Go check it out yourself. Until next time, this is the Media Raptor saying keep cool, and I will see all you Dino Dudes around. Later.